lounging, son.
How's it going, guys? It is me, your co-host of the Comic Lounge podcast. I am Dylan with my co-host Ryan. Ryan, say hi to the good people.
What's up, everyone?
We got a lot to talk about this week. Some pretty interesting announcements, pretty awesome announcements. Man, there's a lot of good stuff going on. What happened? We have Keanu coming out with a comic.
Yeah, fuck yeah, dude.
I'm here for it, dude.
I could literally hear him say, "Whoa."
It was like,
yeah,
at some point, if he doesn't say like something along the lines of "I know kung fu," I'm gonna flip.
I'll be honest, dude. I'm pretty fucking stoked for the book. I mean, that's a pretty good pairing too. Like, he's with Matt Kint, who's a great fucking writer, great cartoonist. So I'm pretty stoked. Boom has been having a pretty good track record with me so far.
Same here. Like, I'm really liking Once and Future. You know, for what they've shown so far from the Keanu project, Berserker, by the way, that's what it's called, Berserker, with no vowels. And it's like that. You know, we have Rafael Grampa doing one of the variant covers, or the actual cover, or is it a concept sketch?
I don't know. I didn't see that.
That was the official Boom Studios announcement. And then Mark Brooks posted his picture.
Oh, that Mark Brooks image, bro. Fuck.
Yeah, dude, Mark Brooks is easily becoming one of my favorite variant artists, bro. Like, if they give him like, you know, kind of like, you know how Simone Bianchi, he doesn't really do individual issues. He does more like whole trade, like, you know, like miniseries. He did Tom Taylor's Thanos. He did that Wolverine Evolution with Jeff Loeb. If they give Mark Brooks the treatment like that, dude, that would be a blessing to freaking comic book art everywhere. Mark Brooks is amazing.
Yeah, he's pretty fucking dope. I remember when he used to do interiors, his style was way different. He actually used to do an all-ages Spider-Man book years ago, dude, when we were in high school.
Really?
Yeah, but it was pretty dope. You know, it had like kind of an old school vibe to it because it was meant for all ages, so there wasn't super like mature themes. But his style was way different. It wasn't like that painted kind of style that he has now. Obviously, it was more traditional.
Are we talking about Mark Brooks or Simone Bianchi?
Oh, I was talking about Mark Brooks.
Oh, okay. I was confused for a second. Oh, okay.
Cool. Oh, yeah, sorry. I guess I should have fucking specified that. Sorry.
No worries.
But you know, speaking of like variant covers, I mean, there's so many great ones. I mean, we could probably do a whole fucking conversation about variant covers and to doing it. Joshua Middleton, Germ,
dude,
Jenny Frison.
Do you see that Joshua Middleton Wonder Woman? I am obsessed.
Oh my god, dude. That shit's fucking breathtaking. But it's crazy.
You know what I like about it? It's like, you know, he didn't like go out of his way to make it look like Gal Gadot. He made it look like, you know, a European woman. I'm not saying Gal Gadot isn't European or Gal Gadot isn't gorgeous or anything like that, but, you know, like Wonder Woman, she's technically supposed to be an Amazon, kind of like like a Greek goddess. It's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. Anyway, back to Keanu.
So I love what he's about. His movies, I love. You know what I mean? Like, even some of the cheesier ones. But him on a personal level, I just love, dude.
I will stand on a high horse and say that Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey is still one of my fucking favorite movies of all time.
I will fucking second that, sir. I will second that shit.
Like, Excellent Adventure was cool, but you take Bill and Ted and literally send them to hell, that's amazing.
Yeah, that shit was fucking great, dude. But yeah, I really like who he is. Like, you know, I love the positivity he tries to spread. He's just like a good person. If there was a celebrity that I'd be kind of down to see, I think he'd be in there. I don't really ever think about it, but if I had to pick it, like right now, if I were to think of like people I admire or respect, like he would be one of the celebrities. Now we'll see how much of the writing he does. You know, like, is this just going to be his name? Is he going to actually do some of the writing? And is he a good writer? Like, we don't know these things, but I'm down for it. And I'm excited to see what could come from this project for sure.
He's had big years consecutively for like the past 5 years. And so why not do a comic? He has a video game coming out this year. I mean, why the fuck not, right? I mean, at this point, Keanu can do everything. Like, have you seen footage of him riding a horse? It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life.
No, I'm sorry. That's just so funny to hear out loud.
No. And like, I think the caption literally read like, Keanu rides a horse for the first time, and of course, he's a natural. like what so the fuck? I'm deathly afraid of horses. Like, me and my wife, literally, we got married in February, and she loves horses. She wanted to go horseback riding when we went to go married. Go married. And I'm like, you know what? I love you. I'll do it. But I'm deathly afraid of horses. Like, they're freaking huge, bro. Like, and you know me. I'm a little guy. I'm like 5'4". Like, a horse can trample me. Even small horses can trample me. But, you know, Keanu gets on this motherfucker and just fucking rides that shit like him and the horse have a soul bond. Like, what the fuck?
Oh my
I'm
God.
fucking jealous. Like, I feel like Keanu could like literally stick his hand out into like an open field and like a butterfly would land on it.
I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah. Now that we talked about Keanu a little bit and fucking how, this is going to be an awesome project, like, and hopefully it's an awesome project. I do want to talk about Rorschach.
Oh, fuck, dude. That's horrible.
Tom King, I love Tom King's writing, but like, not all of Tom King's writing, obviously. Nobody's perfect, but he's a fantastic writer nonetheless. I just don't think that Rorschach or any Watchmen property needs to be touched for like another 20 years. You know what I mean? We already had the Watchmen series. I like the Watchmen series. I know that, that the general consensus is split. They either hated it or they loved it. But we also had Doomsday Clock, which was a complete shit show. There's only one thing about Doomsday Clock that I like was, the whole Dr. Manhattan thing going through the sordid history of Superman. That was cool.
I thought that the ending of Doomsday Clock was pretty cool for any fan of DC Comics. I think it was pretty interesting. But I also think, and I said it the other day at the comic shop when I was talking about, the day that Rorschach was announced. Yeah. And of course, like, I couldn't wait to get there and troll Nick, because
we gotta get Nick on the show. I want to.
Yeah, because he doesn't, and I agree with him. I agree with him about, like the Watchmen stuff should be left alone, right? Because like in that contract, how they said the rights would revert back to Alan Moore once it was not in print. But DC, that's their loopholes. They keep it in print through trade, so he will never get those rights back. Like they did the before Watchmen. That I think that should never have happened. Like I think it should have just always stayed the 12 issues. I haven't seen the show, so I don't have an opinion on it, except that I think they could have called it something else. It didn't need to be Watchmen. And then the same thing with Doomsday Clock, like I was just saying, they could have done that with any other character. They could have created a new character. Maybe it wouldn't have been as like shocking to people, and that was what they were going for, was that shock factor of having Dr. Manhattan and having the Watchmen characters. But I don't think you needed them. Once again, having DC fucking mine the Watchmen universe, and it's like, so it's like, fuck, Tom King, are you kind of selling out? Like, I don't know, dude. Like, it feels that way, but then again, like, it's not as if he's been this creator that has been all about, like, oh, creators' rights, creators' rights, creators' rights. He's not really, like, backpedaling on his beliefs, at least publicly, right? What he is doing, if you pay attention into the Strange Adventures, those quotes that he's using in the backs of the book, by like Wally Wood, by Jack Kirby. Like he is talking about creators that have been fucked over by
I didn't notice that.
That's kind of interesting that you're doing that, and then here you go with Rorschach. Maybe this book could be fantastic. Maybe it'll be fucking amazing, because whether or not it was right to do, the writing could still be fantastic. The art could still be great. I love the cover. I think the design of that cover is amazing.
The lettering on that logo is fucking Boogie Nights, but with Rorschach.
Dude, I fucking tweeted at the designer. I was like, dude, this probably is one of the best covers I've ever seen in all my years of reading comics. Yeah. I mean, and the New American Vampire, the 1976. He designed that too, and that again was another great design, dude. So like I'm not conflicted in the sense that, oh man, I really want to read it. Should I or shouldn't I? But it's like, fuck, dude. There's certain aspects of it that I'm like, damn, that looks pretty dope, but it shouldn't exist at the same time. Is kind of where I'm at,
Yeah, it shouldn't exist, but also like Tom King's track record of dragging like kind of like background characters. No, I wouldn't say background characters. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but his track record of dragging characters. Like, if you're gonna drag anyone, dude, you drag fucking Rorschach. Like,
No, I think he could. Yeah, but he could have done a different character though.
he could have easily done a different character. But I'm not saying like Rorschach should have been the first choice. But I mean, Tom King plus the idea of a Rorschach comic, like, dude, he's gonna make this fool suffer.
Yeah, but Rorschach's fucking dead in Watchmen. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't survive. He's killed.
I think this is like a before Watchmen story.
No, it's 35 years later.
No, God
35 years after the fucking giant squid lands in the fucking city. So, I don't know. You know, I don't even want to say I'm going to wait and see because I don't know. You know, maybe I'll read that first issue so I can at least have an informed opinion. I still will stand by the fact that it shouldn't exist because it's just like, I feel like every time they do this with a Watchman, it's like another slap in the face to Alan Moore. And whether it bothers him or it doesn't bother him, as a fan of his work, you know, as somebody that believes that creators should be treated fairly, especially when they're making these companies all this money, you know, it's just hard for me to see. And I just recently read the Jack Kirby book by Tom Scioli, a little deep dive into that for the YouTube channel. You know, reading that too, I was like, oh, fuck, this is horrible. Like, what was done to him? And it's like, and it still continues to this day. It just sucks. It sucks for Alan Moore. It sucks that DC just, they could still, like, if they really wanted to, they could still do the right thing and give him the rights back. But that will never, ever happen. They make way too much money from the property. It continues to be a bestseller in trade. And
continues, and it's and literally, like, legitimately on Times lists, on best-selling lists, on freaking greatest comic book lists. It's always there. It's literally always there. It's great. It's really good. You know what I mean? So why would DC friggin' stop publishing it? Like, you know what I mean?
But like, and then you have to wonder, how do these creators feel too, knowing that Alan Moore, one of the greatest creatives to ever fucking be in this industry, like, how do they feel? Like, that's what I'm curious about. Like, if I could interview Tom King, I would ask that question. I wouldn't even be scared to ask it. Maybe that would end the interview, or maybe never want to talk to me again. I would do it.
But it's a valid question. Like, you know, because at the end of the day, right, Tom King or not, like, if you're any writer, any fan, like, you know, like, if you're a writer and a fan of Alan Moore, and then you get freaking chosen, I don't even know how they do it, or you're the one that, like, has to, like, continue on his legacy, knowing what DC did to him and his properties. How do you feel about that? Like, is it a real collaboration? Like, how do you feel about continuing on a story that, you know, that I don't even know how to word this, bro.
Yeah,
like, this is why I don't. This is why I don't do interviews, because, like, I can never formulate proper questions.
It's okay. I mean, I sometimes I write them all down beforehand, and that's why if you look at my interviews, sometimes, especially the video ones, you see me looking down sometimes, just because, like, I start blanking on, like, the topics I want to hit, you know, and I want to make sure I get those questions out.
But it's just strange. Like, I legitimately believe that they just need to shelf any and all ideas regarding any future Watchmen projects.
But it's the same thing with crossovers, dude, in events. Like, they see that it makes them money, so they won't stop. Even if it's detrimental to the industry, even if it's disrespecting a celebrated creator, they don't care. It's all about money. Yeah. And that's always what it's going to be about. And I can understand it from a business perspective, but you can be smart business-wise and still have good morals, you know? And this is not good morals. I'm not, and this is not me trying to shit on Tom King. This is not me trying to shit on Jorge Forney. I think Dave Stewart's coloring. I'm not trying to shit on him either. Yeah, I'm kind of curious. I wish I could talk to one of them and just ask them what their feelings are. And, you know, maybe I'll get that chance. I don't know.
I believe in you. You got this shit. Don't trip. I mean, those two things are definitely like high on the radar as far as, like, you know, hot topics right now. I mean, aside from other things, but we'll get into at another time. But it's like, just like with comics, it's always the good and the bad, right? We got fucking perfect human being, fucking Keanu Reeves coming out with his own fucking thing. Fucking. I really hope
a fucking glowing example of the human race, and then you have fucking
and then you have really bad choices and slaps in the face of writers we fucking absolutely revere. You know, have you seen that meme going around? It's a picture of Grant Morrison and fucking Alan Moore. It's like
You
comic
shared
writers.
it. I saw it. I saw that. Yeah, I like that.
Dude, freaking Grant, freaking like high wizards, bro. Like,
I know that shit's fucking dope. If I didn't have to put a cover of the book that we're gonna talk about on the post, I would have just used that as the post image. You know, that's what I would have done. But whatever.
Yeah, oh man, this is fucking great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to talk about Euthanauts?
I feel like in the 2 days that I've known about the Keanu project, I've talked about him enough. I mean, I'll probably talk about him more tomorrow.
You can never talk too much about Keanu.
No, let's talk about Euthanauts.
All right, I'm gonna fucking just do a quick talk about Black Crown. So this book is from IDW, but it's published under the brand of Black Crown, which is the brainchild of Shelly Bond, one of my favorite editors in comics. She worked for Vertigo, she worked for Comico. I mean, she has one of the most celebrated careers of any editor that I've ever known about, you know? So she's
had a hand in like some of my favorite Vertigo projects. So.
Oh, dude, yeah. I mean, she's had a hand in bringing creators into the industry that I fucking love. Ed Brubaker being one of them. Right. So this was a line of books that she curated, and there's I think 10 volumes, 10 different books. One of them is a series that has 2 volumes, but most of them are just one-offs. 5-issue series. They're all different. All varying in genres, and no one is alike, right? But this one I thought I'd pick because I know you like Tini Howard.
I love Tini Howard.
While I like some of her stuff, her her X book is not one of my favorites. I won't say it's like horrible or anything, but it's not a personal favorite of mine. I know there's plenty of people that love that. I'm just not into the magic stuff, right? But
Excalibur has been up and down for me. More up than down, but there's been some pretty low downs.
Yeah, but like her Thanos was great, and that's why I was like, oh, you know what? Let's pick this. Shelly Bond was kind enough to send me some of the trades that I didn't have from the Black Crown line. So I'm like, you know what? This sounds really fucking dope. But I haven't read it. Dill hasn't read it. Let's fucking talk about it. You know what I mean? Like, and it's basically. I'll read the back paragraph real quick just for anybody that doesn't know. That way I can get the clear message across. It's, if there's a place we go after we die, how do we phone home about it? That's the question, right? And after a near-death experience, lonely funeral home receptionist Thalia Rosewood is recruited into the Euthanauts, a select group of intrepid explorers and sick folk who pass over willingly to determine what lies beyond. That right there sold me. I'm like, I want to fucking know, like, they're exploring the afterlife. Like, that's really fucking cool to me. I knew of Nick Robles on art. I flipped through the book. I'm like, this fucking book looks really dope. And after reading it, I think the concept was really fucking cool.
It's really amazing. It's
the concept is cool, but I felt at times a little lost. I guess I don't know. Maybe that was the intention, was to kind of be all over the place. I feel also that maybe it should have been a little bit longer. You and I were talking about that beforehand. It felt like it kind of ended abruptly.
It felt like 5 issues wasn't enough,
Yeah, like I wanted more of it because I was like I'm like, okay, this is really fucking cool. Like the first issue kind of like it dragged a little bit for me. I don't know. Maybe I split it up into 2 reads, so maybe that was the issue with that.
I banged out the whole thing last night because I remember we talked last week how I read a couple the first 5 pages, and I was completely lost. I literally just waited till last night to sit and reread the entire thing. That way it's completely fresh in my head because they do pump a lot of information at you.
Yes.
And there's a lot of Freudian terms in there and a lot of there's a lot of science and a lot of holistic stuff that's going on. What I mean? So it's a lot of information. I do think that the dialogue itself was pretty good, but they do once again a lot of information. Aditya Bidikar did the issue 1 and 2, by the way, and did letters for issue 1 and 2, and I love it. I love his work. He's been on a bunch of stuff, and I think as far as pace goes, it had a good pace. It was a little confusing, but that's just because of the expressiveness of the layouts of the paneling. some of the paneling in this is amazing, but like it's a little hard to follow when, you know, it's literally like a giant splash page of Talia.
Is it when she's in the Deathscape?
Yeah, when she's in the Deathscape. A lot of the Deathscape like splash pages are super confusing. But they're confusing, beautiful.
But they're so dope, dude. I'm a sucker for splash pages, dude. So I love those pages for sure.
Yeah.
And the coloring by first off, I forgot to read off the credits. You know, obviously Tini Howard, like we said, was a writer. Nick Robles on art. Eva De La Cruz did the coloring. Also, Nick Robles colored issue 1 and part of issue 5. And Aditya Bidikar did letters. And then, you know, obviously, like I said, edited by Shelly Bond, and her husband Philip Bond did the logo and design of the covers and stuff. Everything about the book in pieces is really fucking cool, right?
Yeah.
But there are just a couple, like, and they're minor issues, you know, like one of them was the length, you know, that was one of my issues. The other issue was some of the pacing, like you said. Her characters are they're interesting.
Yeah,
and
they are.
The doctor, Mercy is the name of the doctor, right?
Mercy Wolf. Oscar Wolf was the husband.
Dr. Wolf's character is very interesting. The fact that they're exploring the afterlife and trying to, and then creating like tethers with people still on this side. But you have to, only way you can enter that realm, I think, and I hope I'm getting this right, because this is where some of the things got confusing for me, is you just have to be willing to die and be okay with dying in order to enter this realm. That's right.
Yeah. So it's basically, I mean, I may be wrong, like I said, but Dr. Wolf was willing to die, but she had to find her tether first. And a tether, and she kind of explains it when they're in the death space, where people who aren't ready, they get lost in it, and then they eventually go into the light. But since she was ready for whatever it was, because obviously they have no idea, she was ready for what it was. She was able to comprehend exactly where she was at, and then kind of form like what was it called? What did they call the helmets?
I can't remember.
Like I said, there's a lot of information.
Yeah, there's just so much going on that at times you can be confused. But you know what? I learned. I read the first issue, right? Not last night, but the night before. I was a little tired. I still was able to like get the gist of what was going on. Then yesterday, I read the second issue. I started to kind of get it. But like, I think issue 3, 4, 5 is where like I start to really get the feel for the characters, and I got a feel for what they were doing.
Yeah.
But I still don't at the end, and this is why I think it should have been maybe longer, is I don't get the ultimate goal of what they're trying to do.
Right. Like,
you know what I mean? Like
they prove there's an afterlife, but now what?
Right. Exactly.
Is there a volume 2 or a volume 3?
There isn't. There's nowhere else to go.
That's a shame. I feel like the meat of it would probably be within the second volume.
I agree. I mean, and there was like the one message that I did take from it is like to be at peace with yourself. Yeah. I think that's definitely one of the messages, or at least that's what I took from it. What Tini Howard is saying is just be yourself and be okay with who you are.
I really love a lot of Talia's internal monologue. Like, you know, when she goes to the funeral the first time and she's like, you know, I have no problem, you know, being alone, but it's like, but you know, about being around dead bodies and being around death and talking about death, but then actually going into a room where a bunch of curious eyes are just staring at you, that frightens me. That's like, damn, that's pretty fucking cool. Like, that's a pretty interesting perspective of people who are like legitimate, like who legitimately find solace in being alone. I'm a fucking social butterfly. I love my alone time, but I'm a fucking social butterfly, and I love talking to people. Like, you know what I mean? This perspective on death and being alone is a definitely different perspective. It's a really eye-opening perspective. I respect the shit out of it, and it's actually a really beautiful concept when you think about it, like being at peace at death. Especially with Dr. Mercy Wolf. Like, in the beginning of the book, you see her. She has an oxygen tank, and she's like obviously dying of some kind of internal disease. And their first encounter, when they're about to freaking spark up a joint, fucking about to get blown, fucking like and like Talia and Mercy, like they really held no reservations for each other in the way they spoke to each other about death. Like, are you okay with it? Like, are you okay? Like, and then Mercy's just like, oh yeah, this dinner is just a formality. I'm just saying bye to everybody. I couldn't be more happier. Like, that's pretty crazy. And as far as contrast goes, because like, another character who had cancer who I absolutely love, or internal disease who I absolutely love, was Jane Foster. And throughout her entire run, it was just her fighting off death. And it's good to get perspective like that, especially because, like, I feel that death in comics it's never for sure. Like, you know what I mean? Like, everybody always comes back in some way or somehow, like,
except
Wolverine.
Uncle Ben, yeah.
Except Uncle Ben, which is absolute trash. If there needs to be like a Marvel Blackest Night event, and then Uncle Ben needs to fucking just be mad at everybody. But
yeah, I'm thinking about it in my head. I'm picturing these pages and Uncle Ben yelling at everybody for being
you big piece of shit. And like, you know who would get it the worst? May Parker. It's like, J. Jonah Jameson, how dare you? Okay, anyway, I digress.
But yeah, I think the theme of death is she makes it like almost an adventure to go on, which is kind of interesting too. The more I'm thinking about as we're talking, like these new thoughts are coming into my head, and there's no fear of death because so many people spend their life like in fear.
Forever.
They're scared to die. They're not okay with going into that next plane of existence, whether you believe in there's nothing or you believe there is something. Like there's that fear of the unknown, and she makes it like there is no fear because I know I've discovered that there's somewhere to go, and I want to go on this journey and figure out how. Talia, does she die? But she survives, right? So she has the near-death experience, which enables her to be the tether for Mercy. It's just fucking, the more like I said, the more I'm thinking about it, like these themes and this journey that the characters go on is very interesting. And I just wish that I could continue the journey with these characters and see where they go from here. And towards the end, there's that shocking moment where a fellow Euthanaut gets fucking killed. I didn't fucking see that coming.
I did not
that was a
see
shock.
that coming.
So yeah. So and I can't forget too. Like there's the Mercy Wolf has two daughters.
Yeah.
But she was so willing to take that journey of death, right, and leave them behind. And I think she first figures out how to enter the deathscape when she takes DMT that she made. And she goes to that circus with her daughters, and that's where when she comes back, she tells her husband, "I figured it out," but he won't let her go. Yeah, he wants to be the one to do it. He's like, "You can't leave me." He's like, "You can't leave me with these kids. What the fuck am I gonna do?"
That's literally what he said.
And that's such a real thing to say.
If you take it from the perspective of Dr. Mercy Wolf, though, it's a little it's not even a little. It's really fucking selfish. Like. It's selfish as shit, you know what I mean? It's like,
she's just like, nah, I'm gonna go. Bye.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, it's selfish on her part, right?
No, I mean selfish on his part because
on his part.
Yeah, and well, on her part as well, but not as bad as him, not as bad as Oscar, because Oscar literally his first response was, "You're not leaving me with these kids." that was his primal, visceral response was, "You're not leaving me with these kids to raise these kids alone." You know what I mean?
I see where he's coming from. You know what I'm saying? Like,
hey, look,
I get it. Don't you fucking leave me? Don't you leave me by myself? I can't do this shit alone. But yeah, so like the daughters play. I also wish we could have learned a little bit more about them. I think their take on their mother and what she was doing with these Euthanauts and what she was trying to accomplish bothered them, and they resented her for it. But they both handled it in very different ways. While we do kind of get a feel for them, that's something I wish I could have learned a little bit more about. And again, like maybe this was meant to go a little bit further.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like I would also love to fucking get a chance to talk to Tini Howard about this personally and ask her, was this meant to go on for another volume? Or was this always intended to end this way? Because there's so many little threads that could be pulled, and explored further.
Yeah, like I really do feel like this could have been like a 3-volume thing because you have a lot of really interesting characters here. I mean, Indigo, he is
Yeah.
dude. I would love to know more about him. I would
Hell
love to know
yeah, dude.
more. I would love to know more about Cersei. I would love to know more about Guillaume. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Guillaume. I think it's French.
Yeah, just call him Geek.
Gee, yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, and then, just the fact that we got a little glimpse as to who Dr. Mercy Wolf was. But
Mhm.
I feel like if we were given her the given a perspective on her from the daughters, as well as tell the daughters' stories, it would have added to, like, the impact of this whole story. And then Talia, we get Talia's, like, origin in a sense told only via friggin' thought captions, thought bubbles, right? So it's
Mhm.
like I feel like they could have definitely explored more into Talia as well and given visuals to it too. Like, you know what I mean? I feel when she talks about how she was in the same room when her mother died, like I feel like that would have been a really poignant moment to definitely portray visually.
It kind of gives off a little bit of Sandman vibes.
Yeah.
Especially those. Well, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's Sandman. I do feel that there's similar vibes going on, especially in the Deathscape. And if you look at the beginning of issue 4, when Talia's, I think she's in the Deathscape, and Indy is flying through the air. Dude, those fucking pages are phenomenal, and I almost feels like it could be connected to the Sandman universe in that sense of, like, just like you feel like you're in a dream at times when you're reading it, or you feel like you're in an acid fueled adventure, kind of, like, because they
Yeah.
definitely play with the drug aspect of, like, because I think you can get high and also enter the Deathscape.
They say it's a dangerous way.
Right. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, like, I think that's also, I think issue 4 and 5 were, to me, the strongest
Yeah.
of the series, because, like I said, issue 1 was kind of, I know it was build up. Not to say it wasn't done well, because I think, you definitely are just given a lot of information.
Yeah.
I definitely think a reread of this may benefit at least myself. I'll speak for myself, because I know that I always get a little bit more from a book, especially when there's a lot to process. I definitely think this is worth checking out. It's a great idea. It's beautifully presented. The art is phenomenal. The coloring, everything about it, the coloring, the lettering, characterization. It's just,
Not enough.
yeah, it's yeah, this it's just
It's not
it's not
enough.
enough.
Even if they gave us like one more issue, it's very
Yes.
odd that they ended on a 5 issue. You know what I mean? 1 through 5 is very odd in as far as trade paperbacks go, because it's usually 1 through 6 format, 7 through 12 format. Like it's so like 1 through 5. I feel like they could have accomplished a lot more with one more issue
I
or
mean,
2 more issues. Like, you
I
know what I mean?
agree. I agree, but I think Image ends a lot of their trades on it's 5 issue trades.
Oh, it's
Sagas.
5 issue trades.
There's a lot of Image trades that they end with 5. I do agree that, especially if it is just the one volume, I
Yeah.
definitely think even just that extra issue, maybe even just spacing out some of the middle
Yeah.
chunk of the book would have helped. But I don't know. It's not what I expected it would be. And I don't even know what I was really expecting it to be.
I was
But
listening to David Bowie while I was reading this
of course you would,
because
because of
yeah.
that Bowie comment on the back.
No, I didn't even look at the back, dude. I make sure I don't look at the back. I make sure I don't look at the back, but I think it was somewhere. It was like at the end of the first issue, you see Indigo, and he's wearing like this. He's wearing like a headband and like this coat, and I'm like, man, that guy looks like Bowie. I'm gonna listen to Bowie, and then and then oh no, it was that, and also when Mercy calls Talia Major Tom, I'm like, oh, and then I freaking realized, like a jackass, that the entire freaking trade is literally called Ground Control. So I'm like, hell yeah, I'm gonna listen to fucking David Bowie while listening.
God damn it, dude! Look at you, fucking Detective Dill on the case, bro. I didn't even fucking pay attention to that. Now, when I reread it, I'm gonna listen to Bowie.
It's good.
Yeah,
It fits.
I gotta do it.
It fits, dude. So I mean, there's a lot of great things here, but once again, it's just the length that it's like really like my only complaint.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
I think we just want more.
Yeah, because like I just felt like at the end, and not as in like that was okay. It was like wait, where's the rest? Like I want to continue this. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe one day she will revisit it. Who knows? But I mean, for now we have Euthanauts Ground Control.
Go read it. Like honestly, go read it. If not for like the story and the concepts itself, read it for the art. It is fucking beautiful. Yeah, it is really something to like
gorgeous,
really look
dude.
at.
It's fucking gorgeous. I love, and I again, speaking of art, I love Indy's design. Yeah. I think it's like really interesting, like with the makeup and stuff on his face, like, and he definitely has that Bowie quality in terms of that with the makeup and stuff, and I loved it. And each character, like, they're not like cookie cutter looking characters, they're each very unique in their design. I mean, the entire product itself, the trade is a great package. Even the variant covers that they show on the back were phenomenal. I noticed that they were all done by women, which I think is really cool. I definitely want to check out the rest of the Black Crown stuff. Tini Howard also wrote another one for Black Crown called Assassinistas with Gilbert Hernandez, one of Los Bros. Yeah. You're so stupid. So like, I'm gonna check that out. I have the rest of the trades also. If you're down too, we could visit another one of them down the line.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely 100% down for that. 100% down for that.
All right, cool.
So that was our book for the week. And speaking of the week, let's talk about trades and stuff we read, and then we'll talk about issues we read. Because I know you read some trades this week. I definitely read some fucking trades this week.
Okay, so not only did I read Euthanauts this week, but I read a shit ton of other trades. I read the Jack Kirby book, like I said, which is, I dove deep into that on the YouTube channel. I read the Young Avengers complete collection by Kieran Gillen and Jamie McKelvey, which was pretty cool. I really enjoyed it. It was a different take. I like young Loki too. And I'm a fan of those characters. I had never read it. Nick recommended it to me, so I read it, and I fucking basically almost read it in one sitting. I read like 10 issues at night. I just couldn't put it down, and then I woke up early and finished it off. And that was really cool. I read Kankor by Matthew Allison, which is an indie book from Ad House. Really fucking strange book, but really the art is really cool. I read Godhead by Hoche Anderson, who I discovered through the Kayfabe channel. He's also the cartoonist that did King, based on Martin Luther King.
Oh, wow.
Silverfish by David Lapham. It's an old Vertigo book. Really fucking strange story. If you've read David Lapham's like Stray Bullets.
Oh, okay.
It's that kind of nature, but it's like it's really dark, but it's really fucking interesting. I didn't know what was going on the entire time, and not like I didn't know in story wise, but like I had no idea where it was going. Rather, I'm like, okay, what's happening next? What's gonna happen?
That's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, it was a great thing. It was a fantastic. Love that I had no idea where it was going. The last one I read was I Die at Midnight by Kyle Baker.
Nice.
Yeah, it's an old Vertigo book. It's set like right before Y2K. This guy.
Hey, wait. So I'm not gonna say who, but someone younger than me. We were talking. This is like a while back. We were talking about Y2K, and like we're like in the middle of the conversation, and they're younger than me. Like I'd say they're in their mid-20s. The person literally says like, wait, what's Y2K?
Oh God. So people don't even. So I'm aging us. I'm aging us right now. Anyways, for all you fucking young people that don't know what the fuck Y2K is, I'll drop some fucking knowledge on you. Y2K was when everybody thought the world was gonna fucking crash because the fucking clocks and the computers were gonna change from 1999 to 2000, and they thought it was all gonna fucking end. And really fucking stupid. Nothing happened, obviously. But
people literally thought planes were gonna fall out of the sky.
Yeah, it was fucking insanity. But that was the backdrop of that story by Kyle Baker. But this guy is basically the short of it is this lady leaves him and he takes a bunch of fucking pills. Mm-hmm. And then right after he pops all those pills, assumedly to kill himself, he gets a knock at the door and the fucking chick says she's sorry and wants him back. he spends the entire night trying to figure out how to not die.
So he just doesn't like, I should probably stick my finger down my throat and purge.
It didn't work. It didn't work.
Okay.
So I just don't want to get too into the details. But it's an interesting story. It was I think it was about 60 pages. So it's pretty short, but it was pretty cool. So yeah, that's my long list of trades I've read this week. You're sticking to Saga and Descender, right?
Yeah, I'm also trying to catch up with Middle West because next week the last issue of Middle West comes out. And I love Scotty Young. I think his writing has definitely improved over the years. And yeah, Middle West is definitely by far one of my favorite works by him. So yeah, I freaking handled book 2 on last Saturday, like literally immediately after the podcast. Yeah, and then over the week, I binge read 1 through 4 of Saga because Marco and Alana are fucking amazing. And I love Lion Cat. Like the next cat I get, I'm literally gonna name my cat Lion Cat.
I got the fucking Lion Cat statue, dude, that Skybound has. It's like a little mini statue.
Oh, that's fucking tight.
It's pretty fucking dope, dude. And real quick, just speaking of Saga, somebody came into the shop the other day and was like, "Oh, what do you recommend?" Like they were looking for something, and I found that for them real quick. And then I was like, "Oh, have you read Saga?" No. I was like, "Oh, I mean, like you have to read. You gotta
fucking read Saga.
This is the best fucking book that's come out in the last 15 years, dude. You have to read this stuff." And I was like, "You could either get the single volumes, or you could just pick up the compendium, which is a better deal. And I guarantee that once you finish volume 1, you're gonna want to read. You're gonna want to continue it." So I ended up selling him the fucking compendium, dude. He bought the fucking $60 book, dude.
Fucking salesman. Fucking salesman.
That's why I need my own shop, bro.
Yeah, dude. Friggin' okay. So last week we talked about how I started reading Descender, right? And I read volume 1, and then freaking someone put me up on Game to Hoopla, and they had the deluxe edition, and I read the deluxe edition, and like before I even finished it, I was probably like halfway through the volume 1 of the deluxe edition, and I literally went to the shop and I was like, "Hey, can you guys just put in an order for the next shipment to give me that Descender volume 1 and 2?" And then so I'm getting Descender volume 1 and 2 next week. So
the hardcovers.
I finished it, by the way. Yeah, hardcovers. The hardcover, the thick, the two volume hardcovers.
Such a great book,
dude. Okay, fuck.
Driller, dude. I told you, right? Did you get sad? Did you get sad?
I got sad as hell. Fuck that fool. That fool, Henry fucking Tusk. First off, your name is Henry Tusk. Of course you're miserable.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew that was gonna pull on your heartstrings.
Okay. So everybody. Okay, not everybody. Every human or every humanoid in this entire series, except for Telsa. I'm still on the fence with her. She seems pretty cool, but we'll see. But every humanoid in this freaking comic book is absolute hot, steaming New York City street garbage on a summer day. It's they are so trash. Quan, I want to punch him in the face.
Oh, fucking douchebag, dude. Fucking piece of shit. You got to read Ascender next. Or you can wait. I don't know if you want to, like, the first 2 volumes of Ascender are out. While it is very different than Descender, I mean, if you liked Descender, you should read Ascender. I was getting the singles. I'm just gonna get the hardcover. So I did my part. I bought the singles at the shop, then I sold them so I can get the hardcover. I mean, that's usually what I do. I usually, if it's something where I really, really love it, if I know myself and I'm probably not going to want to dig through short boxes to find them and read them individually, I just get the fucking hardcover, dude. I have the trades for Descender. Thanks a lot, Dylan, because now you're making me want the hardcovers and you just cost me money. But that's okay, because I feel like I cost you money too. So
you cost me a lot of money.
You're the reason I bought that goddamn Watchmen fucking Absolute, dude. Our fucking conversation.
So yeah, I'm actually taking a page out of your book, because I have volume 1 through 6 of Saga, and I'm probably gonna sell those or something and just get the compendium.
I sold mine because I got the compendium at the signing for Brian K. Vaughan, but now I want the hardcovers.
Dude, I feel like everybody but me was at that signing.
That's not true. There was a lot of people there, though.
There were a lot of fucking people.
Well, from now on, I'll just get you tickets, and then if you pay me back, you pay me back. If you don't pay me back, you don't pay me back. But who knows when the fuck that's even gonna happen now? I mean, there's no fucking cons, there's no signings. But now that we've talked about stuff we love, can I share a little bit of hate that I want to throw out there? Get it off my fucking chest.
I feel like this week was like the absolute worst week since not having comics.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're right. Empire was the biggest hot piece of trash. I hated that fucking book. It was a waste of my time. I'll never get those however long, 10 minutes, 10, 12 minutes that I spent reading it. I'll never get that back. I wish I could get a refund for my time of reading it because that fucking book was so bad. It shouldn't exist. I don't get the point. I don't know why it exists at all because nothing was leading up to it. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Donny Cates is the one writing space stuff. Why all of a sudden are Dan Slott and Al Ewing writing this Kree Skrull pseudo war or whatever they're doing, takeover? It makes no sense. It was so bad. You're lucky you didn't read it. I really fucking hate it. And I'll start Metal off because I know you did not like it. I will say the shining points of it. I liked his characterization of Wally West and the scene with him and Jay Garrick. I'm a huge Flash fan, as you know.
Oh, yeah, I love that part. That was great. That was fantastic. I love that.
His characterization was spot on for that. And to see Wally and Jay, who always had a great relationship throughout Mark Waid's run, Jeff Johns' run, it was a huge factor of that run, of those runs. So it was cool to see that. The art obviously was great. It's Greg Capullo. I also think that, like, he's better than this. It's not bad art, but I know he can do better. Is kind of what my feeling on it. You know, like, I don't want to say it feels rushed.
Dude,
I don't know.
He apparently he just finished up Metal, and he's just like been on like 4 weeks without a day off, just working on Metal. He just finally finished because he had to reach the deadline, and like that's not cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't never have to like rush your writers or your artists like that. Like, you know, like who said it? No, whatever. It's a quote. Doesn't even matter. But yeah. Anyway, don't rush Greg Capullo, bro.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, I had an argument with Nick at the shop about Empire and Metal. You know, my daily argument with Nick.
Get this fool on the podcast.
I'll try. I don't know if he's up. I don't think he gets up this early. But you know, I was being honest. I'm like, look, you know, like, I did think Metal was better than Empire. I gave it a 7. You know, which is not a great review. But I was like, yeah, if I had to grade it, I'd probably say a 7 because I like the art. Yeah, it was chaotic, whatever, you know. It was kind of all over the place, but Empire was complete shit. And at first he was saying Empire was better than Metal. And I'm like, well, that's just, I feel like you kind of always do that. Even when you hate something from both companies, you always lean more towards, you throw a little bit extra shade at DC. And he's like, that's not true. And so, you know, in the end, he ended up saying, okay, Metal wasn't, maybe I was wrong. Metal was probably a little bit better than Empire, but it was still bad. I think, and I said maybe I do the same thing with Marvel and DC also, like where I throw a little bit extra shade at Marvel. I mean, obviously,
I throw a little bit of extra shade at either, depending on the character.
Yeah.
like if someone was to tell me, like, you know, if you were to have like 2 comics, one featuring Cyclops and then like one featuring like, who's my least favorite fucking Green Lantern? Kyle. No, Kyle's okay.
Guy Gardner.
No, I actually like Guy. Like, I have no problem with Guy.
Simon Baz?
Yeah, Simon Baz. He's not terrible, but he's definitely my least favorite. Yeah, I would definitely throw shade at Simon Baz. I mean, I would definitely throw shade at Cyclops before Simon Baz, like, just knowing that Cyclops is in the...
Of course.
No, but... Yeah, I mean, let me talk about the things I liked about Metal. Okay. Page 1. Page 1 of Metal was just Adam?
Yeah. See, that was what Nick didn't like. He's like, oh, it's like his characters don't matter. I was like, what do you mean? Nobody knew who the fuck this character was. It was just like there, you know, like whatever. Yeah. I thought it was funny, dude. But
no, I thought it was absolutely hilarious. Like, you think, you know, it's like you see a little person's like, oh, look, it's Adam, cool, and then but you realize it's Badam. Yeah. And then instantaneously, before you even get to turn the page, squish.
I liked it. You know,
it was great. It was great. Like, I'm not saying it's not like he doesn't care about his characters, but like, you know, we're talking about a different world here. Like, people are gonna die. Like, people are gonna die. Like, and it's gonna be crazy. Now, things I didn't like. Like, I don't know what Batman's trying to do. Like, he's like resurrecting fools. Like, I don't know what he's trying to do. And then, like, so he's like a necromancer now. Like, he has magic. Like, I don't understand that.
Yeah, you know, I don't get it either.
And then the whole thing with the assassination of the Batman who laughs, only to give us the Manhattan who laughs. Like, what?
Yeah, you know, I know it's confusing. Don't get me wrong, and that's why I gave it a 7, because like I feel like just Scott Snyder, these like big, crazy, over the top, they just aren't his thing. You know what I mean? Like, and I think he's trying to, and I think some of the ideas are cool, but maybe the execution isn't as good as it could be.
Yeah, I like Scott Snyder. I'm not sitting here like absolutely condemning the rest of death metal because of issue 2, but like, it's just that I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, I don't fucking know either, bro.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck is going on.
You're like, not alone.
I don't even understand how they got Dr. Manhattan's brain out of Dr. Manhattan, and they put fucking the Batman who, and they made the Darkest Knight. Really? You couldn't think of anything better than that?
I know. It was pretty.
You couldn't think of anything better than that. You literally had like a bat god, and you had him Barbados. That was cool. But the Darkest Knight, I don't get it, bro. I don't get it. And I'm honestly expecting more from these two. But I love Capullo as an artist. I love Snyder as a writer. And you know, for this to be the encore to metal, like, this is you guys should have just stayed backstage. If it continues like this, you should have stayed backstage. Like, it's.
Yeah, I know. I don't know where this is going. I don't know if plans have changed because of editorial, because
of COVID, you know, because of
releases, so who knows, right? Who knows really what is being done behind the scenes? All I know is, like you said, you know, like, it's really got to stick the landing. It didn't stick the landing quite like I would have liked in the first one. You know, so we'll see. But I don't want to condemn it either.
Yeah, but at least in like metal, like, you had like, what was it? It was 6 issues, right? At least like the first 3 issues, it was just like, yo, damn, that was crazy. Whoa, you know what I mean? Like, one of my favorite parts from metal was like when they explain how the Red Death gets his powers. That was dope. That shit was the most metal fucking shit I ever seen. Like, what do you mean he ties the Flash to the Batmobile?
I know, it's pretty sick, dude.
Yeah, and then it's just I'm like I said, I'm not condemning it. I'm obviously gonna stick around to the end. Whew. Dang. Now, Strange Adventures. I don't know what the fuck is happening. Like,
I thought it was good, dude.
Maybe it's just me. Like, I don't like the format of their dual storytelling. Maybe that's it.
Okay.
Like,
I mean, I kind of enjoy it. I kind of like seeing the parallels, because it's kind of like, it's meant to contrast how he's perceived from both sides.
Yeah.
You know, like, I think, which is a huge theme of it. Like, where to one group you can be the villain, one group you're the hero. I do kind of agree with you in the sense that this one was maybe a little bit more confusing.
It was just pretty sorted.
At one point, I was ready just to not get the singles and wait till it was collected. I kind of lean more towards that once again. Issue 2 brought me back in to where I'm like, okay, I'll read this monthly.
Yeah,
and then I was like,
I loved issue 1 and 2. Issue 1 and 2 were great. I like issue 2 was like setting it up for me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh man, Mr. Terrific is about to be on the case. And then, you know, when you get to issue 3, there's obviously a time gap because shit's already, Mr. Terrific's already done shit. So unless they loop it back around in the 4th issue, if they sequence the issues, like, but one issue is going to talk about, you know, Adam Strange. And then the next issue is going to talk about Mr. Terrific and his investigation. And then, you know, we get this issue where it's talking about Adam Strange again. And then maybe issue 4 will revert back to Mr. Terrific and his findings. If they do that, then I withdraw everything that I say this week, because that's dope. That's really fucking cool. Like I said, this is, you know, this is a 12-issue series. So there's still a lot of story to be told, but in which format and how they execute it and how they do it upon their releases, that remains to be seen. But issue 3 was just like really confusing for me because, like, what does he want? Like,
I don't I don't
want?
know. I don't know. It is a little confusing, and that's I find that sometimes with Tom King's stuff, and I find also that when I do a reread of it complete, sometimes those end up making sense. So I will, like you said, Metal, I won't condemn it until it's done. I wasn't maybe as confused, or I wasn't as bothered by it as you were, but I was still a little at moments lost. I also have Tom King in my head with his fucking stupid Rorschach thing. So
yeah. Also, can we talk about how fucking dope Mitch's Batman looks? Mitch's Batman is fucking awesome. Like,
oh yeah, I think he should do a Batman book for sure.
Mitch needs to do a Batman book. Get on it, DC.
Yeah, DC doesn't know what they got sometimes,
Yeah.
I personally would love, although I'm nervous what he would do to the character, I would love Tom King and Mitch Gerads on like on a Green Arrow book. Yeah. I think that would be kind of cool, but I think more likely maybe DC will smarten up and give Tom Taylor a fucking Green Arrow book, because it seems like he fucking really wants to write Dinah and Ollie. So I'm all for that as well.
Tom Taylor has written a little bit of Green Arrow and Canary in Deceased, right? Like they're major. In Deceased and like issue 1 of Dead Planet, they play a major part. Like they play major parts, and like I really love what he does with them. Like especially in Dead Planet, that first issue of all, like there's a sequence of panels where it's Ollie and Dinah talking to each other, and it's just I felt it. I was like, man, he would do such a great characterization in canon. You know what I mean? That fucking Tom Taylor, man, just over here fucking ripping hearts out, bro.
I know, dude.
Just fucking ripping hearts out. Like, I'd love to see it, but I don't know if I'm ready for it.
Yeah, for sure. I can imagine what he would do. So that's the hate that with sprinkled with a little love, I guess. Kind of. No, not really. It was just some harsh criticism, I think, on our part.
Harsh criticisms.
Yeah.
Criticisms. Maybe a little too harsh in some points, but whatever. Like, like I'm sure they get a lot worse from other people. So.
True. Real quick, I wanted to also throw a plug out. My little brother launched his first fucking Kickstarter for his debut comic, A Puncher's Chance, which is already fully funded.
Which is amazing. It's only Saturday. He released it like on Tuesday?
Yeah, which is pretty fucking crazy. Super proud of him. Dill wrote a review for it, which is on the Comic Lounge site. It's already printed. It's ready to be shipped. I think he's trying to figure out some stretch goals, but anybody listening, if you could show your love and support, it would mean a lot to not only my brother, but me as well.
As well as me. Like, I hope he listens to this, because I haven't told him this, but I sent this a message to you. When I saw that video of him talking about his Kickstarter, I instantly reverted back to like when I first met him, and he had a bowl cut, and he was like shorter than me. Like, and when I say shorter than me, and when I say shorter than me, I'm talking about like his head was below my chest, like little kid.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah.
He's shy. He was a shy little kid. I remember your mom bringing him up. It's like, oh, this is Dylan. And then he was like all super shy. Now he's like freaking 6'90".
And he listens to every episode, so he's definitely listening to this. So you don't need to worry about that. But yeah.
Damn, I'm gonna have to fucking help fund his freaking GoFundMe now that I mentioned his bowl cut. I owe him that much, right?
Oh man, I can't wait for him to hear this. Yeah, so just make sure you go out there, support that.
All right, guys. It was definitely been another interesting episode of the Comic Lounge podcast. Once again, I am your host, Dylan, and that's Ryan. And, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to us. We are on all platforms of podcasts as well as YouTube. So go ahead, click that subscribe button on iTunes, on Spotify, on Podbean. Make sure you get notifications. Come follow us at all our social media accounts. The Comic Lounge on both Instagram and Twitter. Myself at the Dillbot. And then just go ahead and hit us a follow and stay tuned. We got a lot of really fun stuff planned.
Yeah. No, I think that's it. On that note, we're out.
Yep. Peace.
Lounging, son.